So I'm Paul. I'm a production designer on the next series of The Ex-Wife. We are at Limassol Port at the moment, but using it as a airport. The job's been great. It's interesting because it's an area that I've never worked in before, so that's very good. Some of the challenges are that we are shooting some of our locations that are set in the UK and some in Cyprus, so we've got to deal with making some places look English and some places Cypriot. Most of the interiors are fairly easy to manage. The exteriors are much more difficult, obviously, because the architecture is completely different. So the doors, the windows, purely because of the way of the heat in Cyprus, people build houses in different ways. So it's a very, very different piece of architecture. So we've got to try and avoid things like that or cover them up. It's just that as a production designer, it's just completely new visuals, new aesthetic. It's looking at different things. It's talking to the locals and finding out what is a typical Cypriot this or a typical Cypriot that, because I have no idea. So I've got to take the steer from a lot of people, really. The local crews are great. I mean, they're very experienced. They know their way around the place. One of my biggest problems was not knowing who to go to.
I think we just watch that mic pack in your pocket.
All right.
There you go.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
So one of the biggest issues is not knowing where to go to have sets built or to hire props from, that sort of thing. So having a local knowledge of that sort of thing is great. Once you get a script, you obviously break it down into its various components. The major one is English and Cypriot locations, and then it's how we make those very different. And mainly through working with the DOP in terms of controlling light. So we've decided at a very early stage that all the English locations would have net curtains up and heavily draped windows, would be colder in colour, and all the Cypriot locations would have hard shadows through the windows and much warmer. And we sort of differentiate between the two countries in that way, really. We'll look at various photographs of London and of Cyprus and try to pull together various images that we put in a sort of a lookbook, if you like, a mood board, pass that round the rest of the creatives, the director, the producer, the executive producers, and come up with a style that we think is going to work in terms of the visuals. Obviously, there's constraints in terms of budget, in terms of schedule, so we may find fantastic locations in the early days of scouting, but we end up not being able to use it because it is too far away. We've got to stay in an area for 5 days, for instance, so the whole unit's not moving about all over the island. So quite often there's a bit of a compromise in terms of doing that sort of thing. But we'll try and pick out the key locations that are really important and work around those and infill with all the rest of the locations as we find them then. Yeah, so we always work together with costume, we work together with DOP. I come up with colour details, which I'll share with Matthew. I've got a drive that everybody can access, so they can always look at what I'm doing all the time, so they can click on it and see, right, that's what that location is. All the location photographs are there, plus any work that I'm planning to do to that location. So hopefully, even if we're not having conversations, they still have access to all this information. The heat, a bit better.
You know what? Yeah. I want to ask you about the main challenge.
Yeah.
What?
So the heat is a massive challenge here. Not only just working in the heat, but also things react differently. Paint reacts differently. Sticking things on walls that fall off because the glue that they use here is different to the glue in the UK. It's just a very, very different. You've got to adapt to the temperature. Really, that's the hardest thing.